For the first time ever, OYO is EBITDA positive. Welcome to Backstage with Millionaires. I'm Caleb, your host, and if you already know what EBITDA means, then you can skip to this timestamp right here, but if you don't, let me explain it to you. Okay, so EBITDA is an acronym for earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. And let's make this a little bit easier by adding an example here. So let's assume that we have a clothing company called Subscriber Clothing, which has a revenue of 2 crore rupees, and the cost of goods sold is 40 lakh rupees. That's COGS. But we also have to factor in Subscriber Clothing's expenses as well. Maybe these are marketing expenses, maybe this is rent for the office. So let's assume that these expenses are 20 and 30 lakh rupees respectively. So when we subtract that from the gross profit, we get an EBITDA of 1 crore 10 lakh rupees. So that's EBITDA in a nutshell. It's the profit that we get just from the company's operations when we don't consider taxes or interest or asset depreciation or amortization. Okay, so now that we all understand EBITDA, let's get back to the topic at hand, OYO. And like I said earlier, OYO has now become EBITDA positive for the first time ever since the company was registered in 2012. The company saw its EBITDA margins rise to 0.5% in the first quarter of the financial year of 2023, which is up from the negative 9% that it saw in the financial year of 2022. And this is because they've managed to cut a lot of their expenses. But what expenses did they actually end up cutting? Well, firstly, they reduced their employee benefit expense by about 61%, and they also reduced their marketing and promotional costs, along with a couple of other expenses as well. So in the financial year of 2020, OYO recorded $368 million in these expenses, while in the financial year of 2022, that figure stood at just $64 million. So that's a decrease of 82%. Now, one interesting thing to note here is that in the financial year of 2022, 76% of OYO's revenue, that's $455 million, came from outside of India. So that explains why OYO has been making such a big push into these countries. I'm talking about countries like China, the UK, UAE, and Brazil, among others. Now, in part because of this expansion, OYO reported a loss of $242 million in the financial year of 2022. But that's down by 51% as compared to their losses of $493 million in the financial year of 2021, and down by 85% as compared to their losses of $1.6 billion in the financial year of 2020. Now, this narrowing of losses has also prompted OYO to file fresh documents for its IPO with SEBI, and people are speculating now too that they might be looking to go public at the end of October, somewhere around Diwali. All right, next up in the news, RuPay credit cards can now be linked with UPI. That's right, credit cards and UPI are now a thing. Now, for the time being, this is just a pilot, so it's only being launched for customers of Punjab National Bank, Union Bank of India, and India Bank, and the pilot phase here is going to be centered around extracting actionable learnings from the operations. However, if this pilot goes well, then the project will likely be scaled up with time to include other banks and also to accommodate increased usage. Now, in other related news, the RBI governor has launched something called UPI Lite, and this is largely going to be focused on low-value transactions. So with UPI Lite enabled on BHIM apps like PhonePe, Paytm, Google Pay, and Amazon Pay, users can now make small value transactions up to 200 rupees in a near offline mode. In addition to this, the total limit for a UPI Lite balance on a digital wallet has been set at 2,000 rupees, and currently this service is live across 8 banks in India. So the primary goal here, the reason why they're launching UPI Lite, is to reduce the debit load on India's core banking system, thereby improving the success rate of transactions in the future, and also taking India one step closer to processing 1 billion transactions every single day on the UPI platform. All right, next up, do you have a product that you want to sell online? Well, what better way to do that than the world's largest e-commerce company? That's right, this video is brought to you by Amazon, India's most visited shopping website. They deliver to 100% of India's serviceable PIN codes, and more than 10 lakh sellers are using Amazon India today. And that's not just because of their massive customer base. They also offer perks like 7-day payments, free registration, access to their third-party GST providers for as little as 350 rupees, and listing support for up to 10 products at no additional cost. Now, these are limited time offers, so if you want to know more about ongoing promotions by third-party service providers, you can visit this link, and you can also find it in the description down below. So head over to Amazon.in, plug in your PAN card, bank account details, email ID, and GST number, and sign up as a seller today. Oh, and by the way, Amazon India has an offer for sellers right now, so by clicking on the link in the description down below, you can get a 50% discount on Amazon's selling fees. That's half price, and all you gotta do is click on the link in the description and start selling online today. Terms and conditions do apply here, and you can find those in the description down below as well. All right, next up, let's move into our bird's eye segment now because at least 11 Indian startups have raised more than $1 million this week, with the total coming in at $161 million. So leading the charge this week, we have fintech startups raising 47% of all the funds, that's $76 million. And the leader here was Noida-based insurtech startup Zepto, which raised $75 million. So Zepto operates an insurance-focused SaaS platform and primarily offers end-to-end tech solutions to insurers. They also help B2B and B2C organizations to sell various types of insurance products. Up next, we have edtech startups raising 15% of all the funds, that's $25 million. And the leaders here were Bunju, they raised $15 million. This is a Hyderabad-based startup that helps students to overcome their fear of math. And we actually covered this startup in our top 10 Hyderabad-based startups video. So if you want to watch that video, you can find it in the top right corner of your screen. Now, also in the edtech space, we have Ada 24/7. They raised $10 million. And this is a Gurugram-based test prep startup for various government exams like railways, banking, SSC, and public sector jobs focused on Tier 2 and Tier 3. And we actually interviewed one of the founders of Ada 24/7 all the way back in 2019. So you can check that video in the top right corner of your screen as well. Up next, we have one gifting solution startup, Join Ventures, and they raised 14% of all the funds. That's $23.5 million. Now, Join Ventures is a Mumbai-based house of brand startups. So they operate many B2C and B2B gifting brands like Interflora and Masca. And then finally, we have one startup in the audio streaming space, Kuku FM, and they've raised 13% of all the funds, that's $21.8 million. Kuku FM is a Mumbai-based vernacular audio platform, and its content is currently available in 7 Indian languages. They're going to be using some of these fresh funds to launch in 3 new languages as well, Punjabi, Gujarati, and Rajasthani in the next quarter. Now, if we compare this week with last week, we can see that this $161 million is $41 million less than what Indian startups raised last week, $202 million. But this number is likely going to increase by the end of the week. So if you want up-to-date information on the funds that Indian startups are raising, then make sure to sign up for our newsletter. You can find a link to that in the description down below. All right, next up, just a couple of quick updates for you guys now. First of all, urban companies' losses have widened by 2x. So these are specifically their financial year of 2022 losses, which were 514 crore rupees, but they also increased their operating revenues by 77%. And then in other quick news, Zepto's co-founder Kaivalya Vora is now the youngest Indian to have a net worth of more than 1,000 crore rupees. All right, that is all the startup news that I have for you guys this week. I really hope that you enjoyed the video and that you learned a lot from it. Big thanks now to all of our Backstage with Millionaires members, our unicorns, our decacorns, and our hectacorns. And of course, also big thanks to this week's sponsor, Amazon. All right, I will see you guys in the next one.